Hi again, class. This is Lori McAdam, beginning Adobe Illustrator, Modesto Junior College. This is assignment number 3. Again, you need to have attended the class. I will go over this assignment very quickly. The little nuances you will get in class. The first part of this assignment right here is number 1, and as before, your instructions are all over here. We learned last week about the stacking order of polygons. This is the stacking order that I want for these polygons right here. So you need to start cutting and pasting them back so you get this right here. It's helpful to zoom in, which I'll do. And it doesn't matter where you start as long as you end up with this right here. Let's zoom out a little bit more. Okay, so as I said, it doesn't matter where you start. We can start with this black. Now remember, I gave you shortcuts, which I'll be going over right now. The shortcut for cut is Control X. Now you want to tell the computer where to put this. And basically it needs to be in front of everything. So you can select everything like so, and just do Control F. All right, let's go with this shape, and I'm going to cut it. And it's basically behind everything, so I'm going to select everything again. And for paste behind, it's Control B. Now remember, if you don't do Control B, if you just do paste, so I'm going to undo this. If you just do paste, it puts it in the middle of the screen. Okay? But if you tell it Control B, it puts it right back in the same place, but behind what you've selected. Okay? Let's go with this blue triangle. I can see that it's in front of the yellow circle, which it still is. But the yellow circle is in front of this red shape. So I'm going to select them both. I'm going to do a shift click. And I'm going to cut them, Control X. And I'm going to put them in front of this red shape. So I need to select it first and do Control F. So I was able to do those both at the same time. Now I'm going to take this black circle, Control X again, and it's behind this orange shape, but it's also in front of this blue shape. So it doesn't matter what you do. You can paste it, Control B here for behind, or you can select this blue shape and do Control F for in front of. So we'll do Control F. Okay, now I look over here and it looks like this purple shape needs to be moved. Control X. Again, in this case, you want it in front of the green shape. So we'll select that green shape. Actually, it was in front of the green shape. So let me select them both. I just did an undo. So let's select both of these and do Control X. And then put them both behind this orange shape. Control B. So you can do elements one at a time, or you can select multiple ones. Now it looks like everything is in the correct shape except for the star. Everything else you did not have to move. You just had to reorder the stacking. But the star you have to move. So to move it, you need to select it, and you move it, and let it go. And what happens? You can't see it. So that means it's behind this orange shape. And you want it to be in front of. So while it's still selected, I'm going to do Control X. I'm going to select the orange shape and do Control F. And there you go. Now it's matching. So there's probably a small amount of steps that you need to take to finish this whole thing, but it doesn't matter how long you take. I'll never know, as long as you end up with this stacking order that you see over here. So this part is complete. This next part is similar to what you did last week, except I'm adding gradients, like you see right here. These are gradients, so you'll learn that today. Opacity, which creates a color that you can see through, like these eyeglasses. It's filled with white, but it's given an opacity so you can see through it. And you can see that with the white, makes the green a little bit lighter right there. And then we have a blur or a feather, like you see right here. So those are new items that we're going to be learning in class today. Since you'll be learning them in class, I'm just going to go over very quickly how to set this up before we move on to the next part of the assignment. So again, it doesn't matter where you start. When you're first learning, it's good to start from behind. So it looks like his jacket is in back, so we'll go ahead and do that. And again, as I said, I'm looking for the smoothest lines possible. So I already know by this shape right here that I can do this in 3 anchor points. There's 1. Go up to here, click and drag. And if I hold down the Shift key, I can constrain it. Click again. And as I said before, it's always good to close your polygon. So I'm going to come over here and close it. Okay, now his arms. So we'll do that. Now, as I said before, it's always a good idea to, when you're first learning, is to go ahead and not fill it with anything and give it a stroke. So we'll do that. That way you can see your shapes underneath. Again, close the polygon. Since this is underneath, it doesn't matter that you're lining this up. I'm not that concerned with lining up your shapes as long as you have nice, smooth lines with few amount of anchor points. And here's his arm. So we'll do this. And we'll close it. Now this is a little tricky. For his hand, I'll show you a little shortcut. You can do a circle, like so, and then just take one of these points and pull it down, like that. Now remember, we learned rotate last week, so you select it, and we're going to take the rotate tool, and we're just going to rotate it, like that. And then you can use the arrow tool to move it into place. The other thing that we learned last week was, and we will be going over it in class again today, is reflect tool. So I'm going to select all these items because it's basically the same on this side. So I'm going to select all 3 items. You can drag to select it, or you can select and shift each one. Now I'm going to go, the reflect tool is underneath the rotate tool, reflect. Now I need to click right in the middle because it's going to reflect from wherever you click. If I click right here, it's going to reflect right here. But if I click here, it's going to reflect across here. I'll show you as an example. If I click right here and do an Alt click, and if I do vertical, which is what I want, and I preview it, see, it's reflecting across right where I clicked. So I don't want to click right there. So I'm going to cancel that. I want to click in the middle. So I'm going to do an Alt click here. And if I hit preview, you can see that it's going to be in the right place. Pretty close. Now, I don't want to just reflect it. I want to reflect a copy. So instead of clicking OK, I will click copy. And now we have 2. And I can just scoot that with my arrow key again. All right, let's do some of these other shapes. I'm not worried about the stacking order because now I know that it doesn't matter what order I do this in because I can copy and paste in front or paste in back. So there's quite a few circles here. I'm just going to go ahead and now I could just do one of the eyes and the glasses and reflect it like I showed you the arms. But circles are pretty easy, so I'm just going to go ahead and just build all of these separately. And I'll show you the glasses last, because that's where we get an opacity. But right now I'm just going to build all my circles that I see here. And as I said, I'll do the glasses later. And there's some freckles here, so we'll do those. The neck right here. Again, I'm holding down the Alt key because I'm drawing from the middle, which I showed you last time. It just makes it easier if you're drawing ellipses to hold down the Alt key. Again, I'm going to zoom in here. I showed you that you can select something, and if you drag it and then hold down the Alt key, it makes a copy. So I'll do that also down here. I'm going to create a circle, hold down the Alt key and drag. And after you drag, you can do a Control D. And that duplicates it. Puts another one down there. We'll go over that in class. Again, I'm showing you very quickly because if you're in class, this is just a reminder. We'll go over this more carefully in class. So we got a star here. And again, it needs to be rotated. Take your rotate tool. Click and rotate this little antenna. So I go like this. Now I can move that a little bit. I can select these both and I can do my reflect to get that over there. So come over here, reflect, hold down the Alt key, and again copy. And there you have two. A few more items. We have his collar here. Do that really quickly. These are all just straight lines. Very easy. And then his head. Now his head, you can just draw this, but I'll show you a shortcut. You can just take your pen tool and draw this. But I'm going to go over here to the shape tool. I'm going to do a rounded rectangle like this. And I'm going to, right here in the middle, if you take this pen tool and add an anchor point here in the middle, by taking this and clicking right there, it adds an extra anchor point. I can take that anchor point and just pull it up like that. And I can do that over here as well. I can add an anchor point there and an anchor point there. Actually, the only thing I need to do over there is, let me undo that. I don't even need to draw an anchor point. I believe I can just take this and pull it up like that. So I'm just going to take that one and pull it up. I don't even need to add an anchor point like that. All right, and then the last thing would be the hair. And the hair is pretty much just straight points. All straight clicks. Put an anchor point down and it draws the stroke for you. Right there is a curve, so remember, click and drag. Now remember, if I come back down here, there's that extra handle there that makes this go kind of off kilter. So to get rid of that anchor point, I just need to come back over here and re-click on it. It takes away that anchor point and I can change directions like that. Click and pull. And then here I just need to attach it. It doesn't matter what it looks down here because it's in the back and is hidden. All right. It looks like I've got that a little bit. That's his eye. It's kind of important to have his eye look the same, so we'll make that the same size. I'm just going to Control Alt drag that over there. All right, so now I've got all of it drawn except the glasses, but I'm going to go ahead and start coloring it and stacking it because I did not do this in the right order. So I'll start coloring it and then I will go to the glasses because I will show you how to do that opacity right there. So right now I'm just going to do his shirt. So I'm going to just shift click everything that's this blue. I'm going to use my eyedropper tool, and like I told you before, this is a photo. These are not vector. This is a photograph of this. And I do that so people can't just copy and paste it over here. So I've turned this, I've rasterized it into a photo. So when you're using the eyedropper tool, it won't pick up the gradient. So what I've done here is I've created vector items over here that you can actually go over and click on and pick up the gradients as well. So for now, I'm going to pick up his shirt, which is this blue. So I do want you to pick the colors of this alien, even though with the dog last week I let you pick any color. This I want you to use the eyedropper tool. All right, we're going to go, his buttons and collar are white. Since this, I don't have a white over here, so I can just come here and click white. If I had white over here, you wouldn't be able to see it, so I'm just going to do white. His head is green, and so are his hands. So I'm going to shift click all of these. Everything that's green. The leaf is green. I haven't drawn the leaf yet. But let me go ahead and do the green. All right. Now, since they're still selected, I'm going to cut them. Well, actually, I'm not going to cut them. I'm going to select the hands, like so. And I'm going to cut them, Control X. And I'm going to paste them behind the arms. So I'll select the arms and do Control B for back. And now they're in the right place. This right here is a gradient, as you can see here. This will be your first lesson on gradient. Right now, all you need to do is click here. But if you look at this, the gradient is not going in the right way. It's going from light to dark, left to right. I want it to go dark to light, bottom up. So while it's still selected, you take your gradient tool over here, and if you look over at your gradient, right now it is light to dark, which is top to bottom. So I'm going to draw this top to bottom, like so. It doesn't look exactly like that. So what I can do is I can do it again. And I might start up here and end it right there. So I can adjust how far down I go. So that's the same right there. Take these items, Control X, and do Control B for back. Select that, Control B. Now the stroke is fine. Now I just need to do the star, which is that gradient. So I get my eyedropper and click on there. And I need to cut them because they need to go in front. Control X. Select the antenna. Control F. All right, do the hair. Oh, it doesn't look like I have the orange here. So I'll just go in here and do an orange. Get rid of the stroke. Select it, Control X, put it behind the face, Control B, like so. Now I know I've done the cheeks here. I know they're there, I just have to find them. There they are. And this is a gradient from green to pink, which is right there. Now, I filled them, and if you come over here to your transparency, you can see that they are filled, but they're behind the face. So what do I have to do? I have to cut it. Control X, select the face, Control F. There you go. Now these are going from left to right, and they need to go from top to bottom. So you take your gradient tool again. Click, make sure that you click on the gradient like that, and then you can go click, drag. Now, As you can see, I went top to bottom, and it should be bottom to top, but very easily you can click here, reverse gradient. That's fairly new, so that's kind of nice. You don't have to redraw it. You just flip the gradient like that. Now the other thing, since we have this selected, is, let me zoom in, is I'm giving you a blur to make this a nice soft edge. So I'm going to go up to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And right now it's set at 11, and let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. It's 11 pixels. I'll click OK, and that's good. I've got some freckles here, which I selected. I don't want the cheek. So if I do a click shift, it also deselects. And I just have the freckles, and I can fill them with white. But I don't want a stroke. Now when I get rid of the stroke, you're not going to see anything here because it's filled with white. But I can see they're selected. So Control X and paste them in front of this. Control F. There you go. And I believe I did the nose. Shift click to get rid of that. I think the nose, did I put a color here? Oh, we'll just do the nose as black. So we'll click on here. Again, those are in back. Control X, Control F. Now, if you had built this in the right order, you wouldn't have to be doing that copy paste, but I kind of built it in a different order, so I do have to reorganize all of that. Red apple, red apple. I didn't draw the stem yet. I'll do that very quickly. So we have a stem and a leaf. Whoops, I didn't join my polygon right there, as you can see, so I'm going to undo that. There we go. Now if I go over here, I'm good. Again, I want to come back here and get rid of this handle, otherwise my leaf's going to go way over there. Click, whoops, click there, and click here. There's another shape under there. I know it's there, so I'm just going to draw it. Now obviously I've covered up, this right here is going to be a dark green gradient, which I have up here. And this is just a green leaf, which is right there. Okay, and that's brown. I'll just use this for the stem. And this is white, right there. So white highlight. I don't want a stroke. I want a white, and I want to give it a blur. I go to Blur, Gaussian Blur. Okay, there you go. One thing I missed right here is his neck. I can't remember if I, there it is. Okay, that's a dark green, so we'll come up there. We'll cut it. And it's in front of that, so I'm going to go Control F. Move it down, and then it's from dark up here to light down here. So we'll go light to dark, like so. And then the eyes. I drew the eyes, just not the glasses. So we'll take this, fill it with white, no stroke, Control X, Control F, and then the little pupil is there as well. Oops. Let me zoom in. I think I told you that if you have trouble, I kind of know that it's there, and I sort of hunt and peck. Remember that I told you that you can get that back. You can go to wireframe, and you can grab them like so. You can see where they are. Cut them. Go back to preview and paste them in front. like so. And then fill it with black. Black. All right. So far we've done all of it except for the glasses. And this is where I'm going to show you how to do opacity. So, because I built it this way, I can't see my glasses as it is. So you can go here, go to outline mode. You can't go to outline mode. It doesn't show it does not show the guides. So what you can do is you can take the head and you can fill it with nothing temporarily, so you can see where your circles are. And then you can go back later and turn it back to green. So we're going to get our ellipse tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build half of the glasses, and then I'm going to reflect it. So you only have to do it once. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the lens with white. Like that, right? You have a lens. Now to get opacity, it's under here under transparency. Right where it says right now it's at 100%, and if you click on it, you just drag it down. You can go maybe, let's go maybe 75%. And as you can see, because that's behind it, now it's see-through. That's the opacity. If I crank it up, you can't see through it. I bring it down, like so. So now it looks like a real lens where you just see through part of it. I'm going to copy it. Your frame is red, and if I were to do a red frame right now, whoops, click here and do a red frame, the frame would also be transparent. It's kind of hard to see, but it is transparent, and your frames are not transparent. Only the frame is. So you want to have a separate circle for the frame, just as if you have a lens and then a frame. So you have two shapes. So I'm going to undo that. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, and while it's still selected, I'm going to go Control F, and I put another one on top, 75%. This is the frame, so we're going to fill it with nothing, and then we're going to fill it with red, and we're going to bring the opacity up to 100%, like that. Then we're going to go ahead and put this line here for another part of the frame. And I'm going to select both of these, and I need to drag and select these so I get them both. If I just click on this, I'm only going to get the frame. So I need to drag to get them both. Shift click, hold the reflect, do an Alt click, vertical, copy. All right? Now while that's still selected, I'm going to use my arrow key and scooch it over a little bit. And then there's this little shape here that I need to draw, which I'll do right here. Okay, and I'm going to go back to this, and it hasn't moved. Well, I'll move it. There we go. I just need to fill it again. I need to fill it back with the green, like that. And there you go. Now this is showing that the eyes are in front, which is okay. Sometimes this might be too light. So when I drew this, I actually put the eyes in the front just to make them stand out a little bit more. You can leave them behind, or you can move them to the front, like that. And then the other thing I have right here are shiny marks. And I believe I drew those circles. They're under there, so I'm going to click and find them. Again, I can go to Outline and find them. Those were the shiny marks. Control X, go back to Preview. Control AF. I don't want a stroke. Fill it with white and blur. Gaussian blur, 11's fine. Like that. And that's done. Okay, so you've learned opacity, and blurs and gradients. The last part of the assignment, the last two parts of the assignment, are drawing swatches. You have a swatch library over here, and it is already filled with colors and gradients. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and fill these, create 5 boxes and fill them with a color. All you really need to do is to draw 1 box. Let's fill it, let's say with green. And remember I said that if you select it and while you're dragging, if you hold down the Alt key, it makes a copy. And then if you hit Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D, it makes a duplicate for however many you want. You can keep going. And then you can copy all of these and then do a drag, Alt, Control, copy. Now you have all your boxes. This you just need to select each one, fill it with a different color. Like that. Now these down here I want you to fill with a gradient. Now I didn't really show you how to build a gradient yet. I just had you take your eyedropper and copy these gradients. So now I'm going to show you how to build a gradient. So you just need to select a square and your gradient is over here. Right now if I click on it, it's going to fill it with this gradient because that just happens to be the last gradient that we used. And the way you build gradients, 2 color gradients, is you have 1 color here and 1 color here. You can see when I click on it, the color, corresponding colors up here, like that. Okay, so this one's built. It's a 2 color gradient. Let's go to the next one. Click on here, gives us the same one. If we want to change it, we need to click on here and then click any color. You can see the change over here. And then click this, give that another color. Okay, let's build another one. Make them different. Like so. 3 squares with 2 color gradient. Now I want 3 squares with a 3 color gradient. The way you do that is you click on here, click on the gradient, and right now if you want to add a color, you just click anywhere you want along here. And it gives you another one of these, and you fill it with a color. You can add as many as you want. Every time you click, you get a new color. Like that. Okay, we'll only want 3. The way you get rid of colors is to drag them off. Click and drag it off. Okay, so let's do another one with 3 colors. We'll change this. We'll put a white in there and that. Another one. Put black, blue, pink. Okay, so now you have 3 squares with 2 colors and 3 squares with 3 colors. The last thing it says over here is you need to name 1 gradient swatch with your last name. And this is showing you how you can actually save gradients that you like. Maybe you really like this and you feel like you'll use it over and over. So if you select it and go over to your swatches, you can say new swatch, and it's telling you that it's a gradient, so it knows. And you want to name it with your last name. Click OK. And if you come over here, you can see that each of these has a name. Like this one is Desert Sunset, Copper Radial. This is just linear. This one says McAdam. So you need to save one of these. And I'll be able to find it because I'll just run my hand over and I will see your last name. As you can see, I've already got some colors here with my last name. So make sure you put your last name on there. Okay, and then the very last is you also have an area down here to play. Use the pen tool, use gradients, use blurs, and that sort of thing, and just get a feel for working with those new elements that I've shown you. I've shown you to save your illustration as the assignment number, a period, and your last name first initial. Apparently there might be some trouble in the naming convention with Windows 8. You can put 3 hyphen or 3 underscore instead of the period. So that's it for this assignment. Make sure that you save it into the Magic Lab and that you also give me a printed copy with your name on it. Thank you. Email me if you have any questions.